I wanted to touch on the question of consciousness because it's really deep.
Right.
And the question is, consciousness itself, what is it? Like, what is consciousness, and when are we, what is, what are the requirements for consciousness? Are animals conscious, for example? Is complex behavior enough for consciousness? So, for example, you look at an elephant, it does certain behaviors, or a tiger, or a lion, or a cat. Are these animals conscious? Or even a bee. A bee, sometimes it will fly around, it will do the wiggle dance to tell its fellow bees where the pollen is stored and all that.
Right.
So we know this. Is that conscious? Or are there specific requirements for consciousness?
Huh.
And it seems like one of the requirements for consciousness is flexible output, meaning if a bee or an animal have a pre-described algorithm that allows them to do certain things, it can never change not to do that dance, for example, that wiggle dance it does. Or the animals, they're all pre-programmed to do certain behaviors. Right? But a human being that's conscious, if you present them with this dilemma, you say, you show them, for example, Messi or Ronaldo, choose which do you like better.
Right.
They can choose. They have this
sense of freedom.
And that's really where consciousness is different in us.
Right.
And it shows real consciousness is that we can choose between A and B. We have conscious choice, or at least the illusion thereof.
Of the illusion of that, right?
At least. I think we have conscious. I think we have free will, by the way, as well. I think there is free will, but there's a lot of debate around whether there is something called free will or not. We have free will. I do believe there is free will, but most of my colleagues will disagree with me.
We got to have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
Because I have some ideas that I don't think, I think weirdly, I'm not an academic, I'm not a scholar. I just have thought farts that I like to put out. I do see why neuroscientists might be inclined to think that the world is deterministic. If you're dealing in, let's say, what the ink is made out of, poetry might sound meaningless after a certain while because you're dealing with the chemical composition of the ink. So you're dealing with the medium so heavily that the metaphysical might be lost. But again, this is a conversation we've got to have. I hope you're down for it at some point because consciousness is, I think it's probably one of the biggest mysteries in science.
It is. It's one of the biggest mysteries. It's really, it's fascinating. Do we have consciousness? What are the, there's this, Dan McKay had this very interesting thought experiment. He said, look, if there's this guy, he's sitting there and I show him. So I say, look, choose between an Pepsi or Cola, for example. Choose which one you want. You know what? Before you choose, I will write down what you will choose because I have access to your brain. My brain is hooked up to a computer. He has access to that. And so through the activation of my neurons, even before I do the conscious choice, he will know and he will write it down. And each time he will be right. Based on my brain, based on the brain activity, he will write cola. And lo and behold, I've already chosen the cola. He shows me. He can show me this on a piece of paper. Right? Now, I tell him, look, before I choose between cola and Pepsi, this time, show it to me. Actually, show it to me. Not only write it down, but show it to me. So he shows it to me, and he shows me cola, for example. And then this is the dilemma, and this is here the paradox. What if he shows me cola, and I was about to go for that, but then I choose to be mischievous and go for the Pepsi instead?
Right.
What happens? This is a thought experiment.
Sure.
What happens?
Well,
we don't know, right? But he might say, well, I already had that calculated in the equation. I knew that you're going to be mischievous and disobey me, Bella, and I know your personality. So that was factored in the whole thing.
So this is basically infinite game theory.
Infinite game. Then I say, well, I choose not to do it anyway because you thought I might do it. And this becomes infinite. And this is one of the key arguments, and Ramachandran, my colleague, mentor, was one of the really pointed this out. I think this is one of the main arguments against free will, that there's always this, well, yes, you may have all the information in the brain and all that, but could you veto it? Could you not do it?
Yeah, I feel like that's an infinite computation problem, very much like Maxwell's demon, right?
Yeah.
Which is that if I had infinite computation, sure. You know what a great natural experiment for that is poker. Because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking what you're thinking, I'm thinking what you're thinking, what I'm thinking. And so we are constantly changing and adjusting strategy based on that with a little mathematical underlying situation to it.
Yeah.
But Balan, I told you this will be 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's exactly 2 hours. Do you have any questions for me?
Felt like 10 minutes. I don't.
You had fun, right?
I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
I'm going to bother you a lot because you're a very interesting guy. Your area of research is super unique, super interesting. And
appreciate it.
given that you're not even 25, I think you're gonna do some fantastic work for the rest of us, man. Thank you so much for your time.